I just filmed the intro to this video and it was 10 minutes long and I was like, I can't have a 10-minute long video because I know it's gonna be a long video anyway. Okay, we're gonna try and do this quickly, succinctly for the intro. So today I'm going to be filming for you my makeup inventory 6-month check-in. I am doing this a little bit late, but I filmed my first inventory video in March when I did the inventory in January, so I feel like I'm kind of a bit more on track this time. But I have been really inspired to do this year from Sarah Rose's video and also Kelly Gooch. I really like her inventory videos too, but it just means that I can get a handle on how much makeup I have. I was feeling very overwhelmed at the beginning of the year about the amount of makeup in my collection and I felt like it was just too much. I wasn't using so many products because I really didn't know how much I had of each thing, and my monthly makeup baskets, which I don't do every month, but I have been trying to like regularly switch out my makeup from my everyday basket, from like pulling stuff out of my collection. I feel like that combined with the inventory videos and also keeping more of a budget this year, which I'm not great with sticking to, but I'm definitely spending way more mindfully this year. So I feel like all those things combined have really helped me get a handle on how much makeup I have. Obviously I have more makeup than like a normal person who doesn't do YouTube because I keep products to review, test out, I like to compare formulas, I try lots of different things, but at the same time, makeup is not, YouTube, sorry, is not an income revenue stream for me. I don't make any kind of profit at all from YouTube, so it's definitely a hobby. I like, you know, any AdSense that I get, I do like to channel back into my videos and invest in product or equipment that I can use for YouTube, but it's not a business. Like, I don't make an income from it, so I have to be mindful of how much makeup I'm buying, because otherwise it's just, well, common business sense, you can figure it out, you're making a loss. I am really trying to focus on saving this year, so it's just important for me to be aware, even though I might have more makeup than your average Joe, I'm just trying to like be very mindful of how much I do buy. And I do have less than most makeup YouTubers, just because if it's your full-time job, then obviously you're going to be able to pull a lot more resources into it. So if you are looking for some organizational inspiration, or you feel overwhelmed by the amount of stuff you have, this is the video for you. We're gonna break down how much makeup I have in every category and where I'm at in terms of my goals. Okay, so I just have a Google Sheets spreadsheet on my phone, which I update as I go through the year. So I do a January, where I'm at the beginning of the year with my inventory, and then I have done my June check-in, so 6-month check-in, and then at the end of the year I will see where I'm at there again. I have set for each category, I've set like my ideal goal of how many products I would ideally want max in that particular category, just so I can see if I'm a little bit over, if I'm a little bit under, and all of that. There are some categories where I'm over, there are some categories where I'm pretty under, and overall I'm in a fairly good place with like the total number of products in my collection, but there are definitely some categories where I feel like I need to pare back on for the rest of the year. So I am going to be like looking down just because I'm looking at my screen a little bit, so I apologize for that. But let's just jump into foundation. So in January I had 4 foundations and I wanted a max of 5. Really don't need more than 5 foundations for one person. It's going to be really hard to work through that number of foundations anyway, just with the amount that I wear foundation, especially now with working from home. I'm wearing makeup even less on a daily basis, but unfortunately with this category I have gone a little bit over, so I'm currently at 7 out of 5. So I have picked up a few new ones and I haven't used up any of my old ones. I was going to declutter my Ciate Extraordinary foundation, which I think I might still do because I just don't use it anymore. The color range isn't great. I don't feel completely comfortable recommending it to you guys anymore, just because I am trying to be a lot more mindful of the inclusivity of the products that I do recommend in terms of shade range and stuff. That shade range, it's not terrible, especially it's not terrible for people with darker skin. They do have quite a large number of shades like across the spectrum, but even the lightest shade for me is too dark, so I know that probably if that's the lightest shade and that doesn't work for me, probably the darkest shade isn't going to work for a lot of people with really dark skin tones. So I just don't feel totally comfortable recommending that. I do like that foundation, but I don't reach for it loads. I have 2 shades in it because I picked up the second lightest shade first, and that was way too dark. It was way too pink. It just didn't work. So I kept it around for like my summer shade, but I just haven't used it. I just haven't used it. So I think I am at least gonna declutter the like one of the shades and keep the other one. And then I have just bought the Oma Say What foundation. I've also bought the Charlotte Tilbury Light Wonder this year, which I get a lot of use out of, but I'm very aware because I bought so many Charlotte Tilbury products for my Charlotte Tilbury review video, which I will put in the eye if you want to watch. I've invested this year in so many Charlotte Tilbury products that now I feel like my collection is very Charlotte Tilbury and just high-end generally heavy. So I do want to start finding some alternatives, and for the rest of the year I really want to focus on trying to buy more drugstore or affordable makeup options. There's still like a couple of products that I don't have alternatives for, that I want to get a high-end version. Like I know the high-end product that I want, so I probably will still buy a couple here and there, but my main focus for the rest of the year is going to be buying affordable products. So I have alternatives to recommend to you guys, and I'm not always recommending the Charlotte Tilbury Light Wonder. Again, that does not have a good shade range at all, so I don't think I would repurchase it. I absolutely love the finish of the foundation, but the shade range is pants, so I'm probably just going to use that up. Because I do actually use that one compared to this Ciate. So I have also bought the Revolution Pro CC Perfecting Foundation just to see how it compares to the Charlotte Tilbury Light Wonder, because as I say, I'm trying to find affordable alternatives. So yeah, I'm definitely a little bit over the number of foundations that I wanted. I probably will declutter a few before the end of the year, but I reckon I could declutter at least 2, which would bring me down to 5 out of 5, but I want to try and work through them a little bit more first, just because I feel like it's a waste if I declutter them. Okay, on to primer. I did actually buy a new primer. I don't like it, but I'm going to try and use it up. It's a mini. It's the Smashbox Radiance Primer. It's just a little mini version. It just doesn't do anything. Like, it's a moisturizer, but it doesn't even really make my skin feel that hydrated. It doesn't add any radiance whatsoever. It's a very meh product. And then I still have my Ciate Watermelon Primer, which I am working through, and I really like that primer. That's probably my favorite primer I have found out of every primer I've ever tried. It really does make a difference to like the transference of my makeup. So it does really work, but I just don't really wear primer. So I only need 2, I'm at 2. I don't have any inclination to buy any more. Primers don't excite me, so I think we're gonna stick at 2. Face powder. Now, in January I had 1, which is the Hourglass Veil Translucent Powder, and I still only have 1, which is that powder. I did want, really wanted this year to test out the Charlotte Tilbury, what is it called, Flawless Finish or something. They've just brought out the bronzer in the same formula. I do still really want to try that, but as I say, I just didn't get around to buying it for my testing Charlotte Tilbury products video. I felt like at some point I kind of had to just draw the line and be like, you've bought enough Charlotte Tilbury products, Joe, don't spend any more money. So I didn't end up getting the pressed powder. I would still really like to try that. I am hesitant to buy powders when they are full size like that, because especially when they're so expensive, just because it takes me so long to go through powder. I rarely wear powder. I do love that Hourglass Veil translucent powder. They have that in a mini, which is why I bought it in the first place. So I don't know if I will buy the Charlotte Tilbury. Certainly I don't think I'll buy it this year. Maybe I will, but it's not as highly coveted by me as it was at the beginning of the year. So we'll see, but yeah, I kind of want to maybe try some drugstore powders if I am going to buy any. Moving on to concealer. So this is probably one of the most kind of highly rotated categories that I have, because I do go through concealer pretty swiftly. I use concealer. If I don't wear foundation, I'm definitely going to be wearing concealer. Sometimes I wear it, you know, all over my face in place of foundation. I feel like this June category looks quite different to the, do I have any? Yeah, I have one which is the same. No, I have two which are the same, and then I've got rid of two. So I'm still at 4 out of 4 in concealers. I was at 4 out of 4 in June, but 2 of them I finished or decluttered, and then 2 of them I have bought new ones. Yeah, I'm not too worried about the concealer thing. I think I'm gonna just keep working through. Oh, actually there is one concealer that I do want, which is like one of the high-end products I want to invest in for the rest of the year, which I think I'm gonna buy pretty soon actually. The NYX Dark Circle Concealer, which I love for correcting under the eyes. I think they've discontinued that, and I'm just finding that concealers on their own aren't doing what I need them to do to cover my dark circles. So I think I'm gonna invest in the Becca Under Eye Corrector, just because I've heard lots of good things about it, and I do want to get another corrector in my collection. I don't have one in my collection at the moment. So that would bring me up to 5 concealers, but again, I do work through concealers at a pretty swift rate. The Charlotte Tilbury Magic Away, I'm pretty close to finishing already, and the Milk Flex concealer, so I'm not too worried if I was to buy another one of them. Moving on to blush. Now this, I have too many blushes. I need to like work on working through my blushes or declutter some more, because I feel like I'm at a level with blushes where I'm just not gonna get enough use out of them, and it is a bit overwhelming, the number of blushes that I do have. So in January I had 8, and I have cut that down to 7, but I still feel like that's too many. I just like all of those blushes that I have now though. So I have 2 milk sticks. I have a mini milk stick in work, which honestly I don't really use. Haven't used that for a good few months, so that might be the next one to go. And then I also have the Rally milk stick, which I love for the autumn winter time. It's just a little bit more plummy in shade, but it blends out to be really, really sheer. The Charlotte Tilbury Love Glow blush, which I bought for my review video. Very annoyed that I spent all that money on that blush. Basically the packaging is the best thing about that blush. It's very average blush. It's pretty similar to my like Milani Luminoso. I don't really see a big difference. I do want to try and use it up because it's so expensive and it is nice packaging to have, but I feel like it's just taking up space in my category when I really don't use it because it's distinctly average. That's one of the blushes that I've added to my collection since January, and then the other one is the Stila Stick Blush, cream blush in sheer Jabira, don't know how to say it. I absolutely love that blush. It's my favorite blush that I have bought this year out of the 2. Well, not hard because I don't like the Charlotte Tilbury one, but again, the shade range is awful. So they brought out a few blush shades, not really any deep ones, 1 bronzer shade, and then 1 highlight shade, which is Kitten, which I know is a really popular highlight shade for them. So I don't really want to use it on camera all that much, but it's one of the blushes that I'm wearing all the time, and I do want to use it up. I prefer the formula to the Milk formula. I'm struggling with that one, but yeah, that's one of the ones that I bought. And then I just have my Bare Minerals powder blush, my Melt blush, and Milani Luminoso, which I honestly don't know if I will ever get rid of any of those 3, because I really, really like all of those blushes for different purposes. So, okay, moving on to bronzer. I mean, my limit with blushes is 8 and I am within that, but I still just feel like it's too overwhelming. I feel like I need to bring it down from 8 even. Okay, bronzer, I feel like I can't buy any more bronzers this year. I need to like, yeah, bronzer is another one which I'm above my limit with. I was at 3 in January, 3 out of 4 was my limit, and I'm now at 5 out of 4. So I did buy the BH Cosmetics Brilliance bronzer, which I do really like. It's a little bit dark, but it gives that really sun-kissed, like for the summertime, it's a really nice bronzer. And then I also bought the Oma contour stick, which I also really like. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I would like to get rid of my Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer because Physicians Formula aren't cruelty-free anymore. So I don't really want to use that bronzer on my channel, but then I feel like it's a waste and it is a really nice formula. I'm in two minds about what to do. I have kept it in my collection for now just because I think it's good to compare to other bronzers if I do have any more to compare it to. I kind of wanted to just keep it for a reference point. I'm not as overwhelmed by my bronzer collection as I am by my blush collection, so I feel like I'm okay with bronzers even though I'm a little bit over. Highlighter, I was at 5 out of 7 and I have added one more to it, so I'm now at 6 out of 7. I did buy the RMS Cream Highlight. Oh, I actually do have the Oma highlight stick, so it's a contour stick and the highlight stick is on the other end, so I should add that in really, so that would be 7 out of 7. But I like all of my highlights. I don't want to get rid of any of them. I'm okay with that. I do try and switch out the highlighter that I'm using fairly regularly, so I feel like I get a decent amount of use out of all of them. Next category is face palettes. I did have 2 face palettes in January. I've actually decluttered both of them because I just don't use face palettes. I do not use them. So I had 2 out of 2 in January and now I have 0 out of 2. I don't want to buy any more. I don't use them. There's no point me having them. The Hourglass face palettes I'm always so drawn to, but I just know that I would use maybe like 2 shades out of the 6. And it's just a waste of money for me. And they end up sitting in my collection because I never think to use them, because when I think, oh, what bronzer should I use, I think of automatically a single pan bronzer. I don't think of automatically a palette. So that's just my personal preference. Okay, eye primer. I was at 2 eye primers because I had the Tear Mere eye primer and the Anastasia eye primer in January, and now I'm at 1 eye primer. I decluttered the Anastasia one. I had issues with this from the start. It was something to do with the packaging, was just squirting out product without control. And I felt like I was wasting so much product. I spent like however much it was on that product. I don't even know why I bought that, honestly. It was so much money for an eye primer. But I did like end up decanting it into a little pot, but that dried out really, really quickly because it's such a thick consistency. I decluttered that one. I'm still working through my Tear Mere eye primer. I don't think I'm ever gonna run out of it. I really like it as an eye primer. Again, eye primers don't excite me. I don't have any plans to buy more. Okay, we're on to single eyeshadows now. Now in January, I had 11 out of 10. So I obviously kind of felt like I needed to cut that down, but I guess I just couldn't declutter. I couldn't decide what to declutter or whatever. I am now at 8 out of 10, so I'm pretty happy with that. I don't have real aspirations to buy more single eyeshadows at the moment. I think I'm pretty good with my eyeshadow collections. I'm more drawn to like quads at the moment than single eyeshadows. I did go through a really big phase of loving single cream shadows, like in a doe foot applicator kind of thing. And I do still have a couple of those, but I had to declutter a few just because they were going funny. That's the problem with cream or liquid products. They do go bad much more quickly than powders. Oh, I added one, the Charlotte Tilbury Eyes to Mesmerize. And I do have an e.l.f. shadow stick in rose gold. But that was kind of, I bought that because it was so cheap. It was like 2 or 3 quid or something, and I just bought it because I wanted to test out the rose gold shade on my lid before I bought the Charlotte Tilbury one, just to check that I liked the kind of colour on my lid, because pink can be sometimes not a great colour for me to wear with my hair. So yeah, I'm kind of like fine with the single eyeshadows I have. I'm within my goal that I set, so if I did get 1 or 2 more, that would be okay, but yeah, I'm kind of all right with everything I've got. The eyeshadow palettes next. Now, I do feel like this is one of the categories that I need to like scale back on. I was at 8 out of 8 in January. I'm still at 8 out of 8. The thing with palettes is I feel like when I buy a palette, I don't buy a palette if I feel like I've already got a palette with a lot of those shades in it. So all the palettes I buy are quite different from one another. And they have quite different colour theories, so I find it really hard to declutter it, because I'm like, well, if I'm looking to wear a rose gold colour theory, then I'm going to go for that Charlotte Tilbury quad. If I'm looking for a bright colour, which, let's be honest, I'm never doing, but I keep my Beauty Babe Bright Mattes palette in case, you know, I ever have a situation where I need to wear bright eyeshadow. The same thing with like my Juvia's Place Sahara palette. I've had that for like years now, and I reach for it whenever I want to wear a certain type of look. So I do feel like it's hard to declutter my eyeshadow palette. It's just because I don't tend to buy ones that I think I've already got in my collection. That's where I'm at with palettes. Don't really want to buy any more palettes for the rest of the year. Eyeliners, I had 2 in January. I still have the same 2 now. I have the Fior Minerals, just brown, like gel crayon thing. It dries out and then I sharpen it and then it's fine again. Again, not something that excites me. And then I do have my LA Splash Architect liquid liner, just on backup in case I ever want to use a liquid liner. I really only ever use liquid liner though when it's like autumn time, then I go through a phase of wanting to wear it, or like Christmas maybe, but other than that I really never wear it, so I just have it in case. Mascara, I had 3 out of 3 in January, and now I have 2 out of 3. Again, this is one that rotates pretty quickly, because obviously mascaras you can only use for like 3 or 4 months max at a time. I did have like completely different mascaras in January. I had a little sample of the Too Faced Better Than Sex. FYI, hated that mascara. It smudged so badly under my eyes. I don't know if I got a bad one, because I know so many people love it, or if it was just that it was the sample and it was applying differently or something, but it really didn't work for me. The Ilia mascara, which I absolutely loved, really great mascara, and that is one that's still on my radar to repurchase, to be honest. And then the Lily Lolo mascara, which was nice, but it dried out so quickly on me. Like I couldn't use it after like 6-7 weeks, and I was like, oh, it's not really worth it to me. I think I was given that in PR as well, but yeah, didn't really get on with that. Now I have the Charlotte Tilbury Legendary Lashes, which I do really love, that mascara, and the e.l.f. Keep Your Curl. And honestly, I feel like the e.l.f. Keep Your Curl is good enough. I love the way the Charlotte Tilbury makes my eyelashes look, but it's not drastically different enough from the e.l.f. one, where the e.l.f. one is £3 and the Charlotte Tilbury one's like in the 20s. So, you know, I do feel like high-end mascaras, although some of them are really nice and some of them are better than a lot of drugstore mascaras, there are also drugstore mascaras out there which are just as good. So I don't know, I'm in 2 minds about high-end mascaras. The Ilia and the Charlotte Tilbury are probably the best high-end mascaras I've tried. Okay, onto brows. Again, had 1 in January, still got 1 now. Brows don't excite me at all. I just wanna get them over with, put a bit of product through and be done. I haven't had my eyebrows threaded, obviously because of COVID, since, I don't know if I've even had them done this year, because they were due for a thread when we went into lockdown. So it might have been, like I normally get them done every few months, so it might have even been like December or something when I got them done. So they are really needing a thread now, so I'm trying not to put too much product in because it can just make them look very bushy. So in January I had the Ico Brow Game Strong, which was like a little powder which you just fluff through your brows, which is nice, but I'm much more of a brow gel girl, and I just wasn't using that powder. So now I have the Charlotte Tilbury Legendary Brows, which I absolutely love, favorite brow product ever. Like, I do think that's worth spending the extra bit of money on, because the brush is just, it's different to any other brow gel that I've tried in terms of like how precise you can be with it. Okay, onto lips. So the lips, as I said in my first inventory video, is the category just in general where I feel like I can be a bit more lenient. I personally love testing out lip products, and I know that I can switch them out really often and try a different one every day, and I feel like this is where I don't mind having more lip products in my collection. Okay, so for lip liners, I did have 5 out of 6. I now have 6 out of 6 because I bought the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk liner, and I think I actually prefer that to any other lip liners in my collection. So I might declutter the other nude lip liners I have, which are the Nabla lip liners, which they're really great if you want a lip liner, but they're a bit more pigmented than the Charlotte Tilbury one. And I feel like the Charlotte Tilbury one, because it's slightly less pigmented, but you still get a nice defined lip line, but it's a little bit easier to work with, and it doesn't look quite so strong on the lips than the Nabla ones, because the Nabla ones you can really, like, they're very pigmented and very creamy. So it just depends what kind of look you like. If you like having a very defined lip line, then you would probably prefer the Nabla ones. If you like more of a sheer, barely there lip line, but defined, the Charlotte Tilbury one would probably be the way to go. And then for bullet lipsticks, I currently have 15 out of 20. In January, I had 17 out of 20. So I have actually cut that down. And that is mainly because I've bought a couple of new ones, but mainly because I had like pretty much the whole collection of Lily Lolo lipsticks and a couple of Eye of Horus ones left in there. I've decluttered the Eye of Horus ones now because they are like a good maybe 2-3 years old, and I feel like I just don't wear them. They're really nice lipsticks, and they're great because they're in biodegradable packaging, but I just don't use them. So I decluttered them, and then also the Lily Lolo ones that I wasn't using, I decluttered, and then I kept 2 of the ones that I liked. Even though it was so lovely and I was so grateful to be sent them, there's no point in keeping them in my collection if I'm not gonna wear them. Liquid lipsticks, I was at 4 out of 5 and I'm now at 5 out of 5. I really don't want any more liquid lipsticks. I really don't wear them enough. I hardly ever reach for them. Like, I would always reach for a bullet lipstick pretty much over a liquid lipstick. I don't mind them in like the winter time and autumn, but definitely at the moment I'm not wearing them at all. So not something that I am planning on buying any more of. Lip gloss, we were at 12 out of 15. We're now at 14 out of 15. So for lip gloss, I haven't really decluttered any, and I have bought some more. So that's kind of, yeah, I need to kind of be a bit mindful of that. Again, I'm not so worried because for my bullet lipsticks, I'm well within my goal, and I prefer lip gloss at the moment to bullet lipsticks anyway, so I wouldn't mind too much if I went 1, maybe 2 over on lip gloss. I definitely need to be a bit mindful of it. And then for setting spray, I did have 1 in January, which was the Cover FX hydrating, I can't remember what it's called now, but it's like a hydrating spray, which I did really like, but I just wasn't using it, and I feel like it started to smell a bit different to how it smelled when I first had it. But I now have the Pixie Glow Mist, which I actually prefer to the Cover FX one anyway, because it gives you more of an obvious glow on the face. So I'm keeping that one, and I'm good with that one for now. I only need 1 setting spray. The only other setting spray I might buy is like a mini of the Urban Decay All Nighter, because it's a good one for like long wearing makeup, but to be honest, I'm wearing makeup so infrequently and for such short periods of time in general at the moment because of lockdown. I don't go out where I think like, oh, I need my makeup to last all day, you know. Okay, so for the total products, we are within my limits. So for the total goal, like the max, I've just taken the max for each category and added it up, and that's like my maximum amount in my collection that I want. I don't want to go one product over that. 107 is the goal. I was at 93 in January. I'm now at 95. So I feel like I'm fine. I feel like I'm all good. I'm not worried about the total number at the moment. I feel like I would feel comfortable going up to about 100. And then once I get over 100, I'm gonna be a bit like, ooh, need to like declutter, pare things back a lot more. Yeah, feel okay about that. But there are definitely some categories which I do need to be very mindful of going forward for the next year, for the rest of the year. So those categories are foundation, which is difficult because I do want to find an alternative to the Charlotte Tilbury Light Wonder that's in a good shade range. So I do want to test out a couple of foundations, but I just need to be mindful about how many I'm adding to my collection. And then bronzer as and I mean blush, I'm under my limit, but I feel like I need to like be careful with blush too, but bronzer I'm over my limit. So bronzer, definitely no more bronzers this year. Eyeshadow palettes, no more eyeshadow palettes. Try and avoid the quads, the drawer of the quads. Lip liner, don't need any more lip liner, and then lip gloss I need to be aware of as well. So that's kind of where I'm feeling I need to put my energy into paring back. But yeah, let me know where you guys are at with your inventories, if you do them. How are you doing with it? Are you struggling since, you know, lockdown? Have you been struggling with wanting to buy more? I know I've gone through periods where I've like really wanted that retail therapy side of things, but I've had to be quite controlled where I can. Failing sometimes, but trying to be mindful where I can. And yeah, there's definitely areas for improvement. So anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this video. I'm sorry that it was so long, but hopefully it helped you in some way if you are wanting to take stock of your makeup and understand how much you have a little bit deeper. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you do want to see more from me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.